All right, everyone, and welcome in to the Codo Bach Pitstop. I am your host, Matt Lauterbach, joined by, of course,
Heyo, this is your co-host, everyone, Patrick Codo, the co-host of the Codo Bach Pitstop. Matt, we have a rant to unload for this episode.
we do have a rant to unload for this episode. If any of you NASCAR fans were living under a rock last night and forgot that NASCAR is back, but we are back from the long 2-week Olympic break, buddy.
Back on its bullshit. Let me put it there.
Yes, exactly. But, buddy, we got a lot to get through before we get to that. We'll save the best for last. That's my favorite thing. So, first I gotta ask you, how was the 2-week vacation, Pat?
Well, well, I actually spent 1 week of it in Cooperstown in Niagara Falls, which I know you hate me for.
Very much so. Very much so. Still do.
Cooperstown has that old school baseball vibe. If you have not been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, I would highly recommend you going. And I think it's better than the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes, especially with the NFL Hall of Fame game that we had just a week ago, which unfortunately got ended early due to rain, but that's for a whole different other podcast that we don't do. So
was NASCAR in 10 or something? It sounded like it.
Oh man, it sure does sound like it, but buddy, we had an action-packed weekend at Richmond. NASCAR returned. We had the Truck Series race on Saturday night. We had the Cup Series race on Sunday night. I still don't understand why they wouldn't just do Friday and Saturday night, but oh well.
We need more Saturday night races. That's what we fucking need. I don't know. I'm right there with you, buddy.
They've really done away with that, but we got to unpack all this. But first, let's get into our paint scheme of the week. There are some good paint schemes out there in Richmond. I'll let you go first.
All right, Matt, you pretty much know what my paint scheme of the week is, and this one's a serious no-brainer. You cannot go wrong about Chase Elliott's Coca-Cola paint scheme.
That was fresh.
The minute I saw that paint scheme, I'm like, all right, that's automatic paint scheme of the week on the Codo Bach Pitstop.
I knew you were going to go for your boy Chase and get his paint scheme going. Hooters, unfortunately, no longer a sponsor of Chase Elliott, and Coca-Cola.
Very sad to see, but you know what? The Coke scheme, I like it. It won me over big time.
I did like that Coke scheme. Red is my favorite color, so I'm instantly drawn to red paint schemes, and yeah, that one won me over. You took that one. My paint scheme of the week is the meme choice, and that happens to be Ross Chastain's jockey underwear scheme.
We all could not get over that paint scheme last night. That was pretty fun to see. I won't be surprised if that's a popular diecast.
I'm sure it will be. That scheme just reminded me of like NASCAR drivers doing iRacing in COVID when we had Matt DiBenedetto just go onto his rig for iRacing and just post a picture of himself wearing only his underwear, just doing that in the middle of COVID.
I'm sure a lot of people did some weird shit during COVID.
A lot of people did do some weird shit during COVID. Matt DiBenedetto did some weird shit during COVID, but for good reason. He does not have a ride, unfortunately. So sorry, Matty D. I respected you then, but you got some work to do to get yourself back going, my friend. All right. So we got our paint scheme of the week. Let's go to the truck race. The Truck Series regular season finale already was Saturday night, actually, at Richmond.
Oh, the Truck Series is so short. I keep forgetting that. Oh, yeah. Because Eckes won the regular season, right?
Yes. All Christian Eckes needed to do was just have a good stage one. And what does he do? He dominates and wins stage one like he has been all year long. And with that stage one win, he is the 2024 Truck Series regular season champion. So congratulations to Christian Eckes. Those points, I believe, and momentum will obviously carry him into the playoffs. So it's a big momentum.
Which I believe is the Milwaukee Mile, right?
Yes, the Milwaukee Mile, I believe, is the opening round, and just
they need to bring the Cup race to there.
Yeah, Milwaukee Mile, underrated facility. I love the IndyCar
I've
races
seen
there.
the photos. It looks really nice.
It's a pretty nice track. But we had a lot of action onto the track on Saturday night. We had some drivers up front that we haven't really seen a whole lot of this year. We had guys like Grant Enfinger, who's been quiet all year. Enfinger
Yep.
dominated stage two. We had guys like Lane Riggs, who was in desperate need of a good run, running really good. Taylor Gray needed a good run, or Tanner
I was
Gray,
gonna say
rather.
got Gray with the top 5 finish, Lane Riggs with the top 5 finish.
Yep. Daniel Dye, who came into the race on the outside of the playoff berth, made his BFF Michael Waltrip very happy in the FS1 broadcast booth. Um, Saw a lot of carnage. We had some big accidents. Some big names were taken out. We had Connor Zilich in his oval debut running really well, and then he got taken out late. And Zilich, as you may know, he's going to be going Xfinity Racing. It was announced just early at the end of last week, actually, that he'll be going to Junior Motorsports full time in the Xfinity Series next year. So congrats to him, but did not have a good run on Saturday. And it ended with the man who we predicted to win Indy last time we were on the show, winning again at his favorite place, a short track. Ty Majeski, looking very good as of late.
I feel like he's a champion. He and Christian Eckes are literally the ones that are gonna battle it out.
Yeah, he's joined that middle battle between Christian Eckes and Corey Heim. And
I
Corey
just hope
Heim,
that championship is not a shit show like it was last year.
yeah, that we don't talk about that race.
We
We
don't.
don't talk about that race. Um, but yeah, Ty Majeski picks up his second win of the season, his second win in a row. He has joined that conversation because it was basically between him, Eckes, and Grant Enfinger. Corey Heim, for the first time in what feels like this whole year, was really a non-factor in in Saturday night's race. He struggled, finished 16th, which is very
Very rare to
uncharacteristic.
see him as very rare to see him as a no-show.
Very, very rare. He did lead some laps, but that was under pit strategy, which we saw a lot of in the race.
Oh yes, and Matt, before we get to the Cup race and stuff, how about Bristol having a baseball how about Bristol turning into a baseball stadium next season?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we gotta cover that. Yeah, we gotta mention that with baseball stuff and some other silly season stuff. But the Truck Series playoff format, while we're still in that conversation,
Yeah.
is set. So we have a bunch of new names here in the Truck Series, some names that we've seen before. So Corey Heim, Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, Nick Sanchez, Raja Karuth, they were locked into
Don't
the
sleep on
playoffs.
Roger Caruth. He can make some serious noise in the playoffs.
He's very underrated. He's very underrated. Those were the drivers locked into the playoffs on wins. Making it on points was Grant Enfinger. No surprise there. Tyler Ankrum, who's had a good year so far in the seventh seeds. Taylor Gray in eighth. Ben Rhodes, defending champion, ninth seed. And how about Daniel Dye, Michael Waltrip's BFF? I know Michael was probably
Yeah,
shedding some tears at the sight of Mr. Daniel Dye qualifying for the playoffs and knocking out Tanner Gray on Saturday night.
I don't mind that.
Hey, Daniel Dye, he's up and coming. I think he's not as good as obviously Michael likes to hype him up to be, but he's still a pretty damn good driver. I think he can make a name for himself in truck.
Right.
So he has an opportunity to do it now. So congrats to him. But let's move on from the truck series and let's talk about some silly season news. And by silly season, I mean Bristol Motor Speedway building a baseball stadium in the infield.
So instead of rubber being burned, you're also going to see some dingers.
Yes, which hey, Bristol's the place to do that. And I think
They already hosted a football game between Tennessee and Virginia Tech, if I'm correct. And now you're going to host the Braves and the Reds.
yes, coming next summer, next August actually, it's August 2025.
Yeah.
That's
It's
going to be
good
a
to
fun
have
one.
that because, we had that. We had the big Negro League game.
Hmm.
in back in July. That was cool to see. I think it was San Francisco and St. Louis
Yeah, yeah, it was. So
at
I'm
that old stadium in Alabama. So that was cool to see.
yeah,
Um, and then of course the Field of Dreams game. But
yeah.
now we go to Bristol, and I love it.
Yeah, I Bristol, they can set up to with the grandstands around the track. You can seat up to, I believe, over 160,000 people. And
Well, the stands can cover up the whole fucking track, and
yeah,
literally,
exactly.
I hope all those are open because that'd be a really badass view of that ball game.
That I would love to be a player playing on that baseball field, just surrounded by all the fans. It would be such an
I don't
incredible
even
sight to
care if
see.
I lost that game. I'd be dope. I'd be stoked.
I think they said it too. I forgot where I saw this, but they said that would actually shatter the MLB record attendance for a baseball game ever. Just because
Of
Bristol
course.
can seat up to 160,000 people. You would never think that you would get over 100,000 people at any well, maybe a Dodgers game, but in any other normal baseball game, you would never think you could sit up over to 100,000 people. It's
That's
unheard of.
insane.
It really is. So I think this is a good way to grow baseball. It's a great way to grow NASCAR. It gets some more attention that way. And
And taking a look at the format, holy shit.
mhm, yeah, it's I'm ready for next August to see that game on TV. That's gonna be so much fun.
Hopefully tickets aren't pricey, even
Yeah.
though they probably.
Oh, they're gonna probably be more than an arm and a leg, my friend. They're gonna be the equivalent to Denny
Well, let's be
Hamlin's.
real. I feel like all the big baseball games, like the Negro League one, I thought that was cool. That definitely costed an arm and a leg.
Yeah,
The,
the Field of
the, Field-
Dreams probably
the Field of
did.
Dreams game, that definitely cost a fucking arm and a leg. This one, oh boy,
Yeah, this is
cool to see baseball expand with that, especially with NASCAR.
it is. It is very cool to see baseball start to expand a little bit. I'm excited to see it. But we got some more silly season updates coming in as an old friend is returning to the Cup Series circuit. A
Hide
man,
those dryers.
yes, hide the jet dryers away, everyone, because Mr. Juan Pablo Montoya himself, two-time Indy 500 winner, formerly a driver at Chip Ganassi Racing, is set to return driving a 2311 car, the number 50 car sponsored by Mobile One, which we've seen on a part-time basis this year. Juan Pablo Montoya going to run that car at Watkins Glen.
Oh,
That's
well, Watkins Glen has had a lot of international drivers racing, so I'm happy to
yeah.
see him get that opportunity.
Yeah, and he's a former winner. I remember watching him on TV win back in 2010 at Watkins Glen.
Just hope you keep the jet dryers away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, boom.
Yeah, we need to keep the jet tires off the track and away from the 50 car at all costs. But I'm really happy to see Juan Pablo Montoya come back. As long as he doesn't, he had that old school racing mentality. You hit me once, I hit you twice. He would always be he would always be putting the bumper to somebody if you put the bumper to him. And like we said, let's just hope he doesn't put the bumper right to the jet dryer again.
That was so fucked.
Yeah, that was oh God, I remember seeing that Daytona 500 as an 11-year-old kid. That was I I was like, "What? Hit a jet dryer? Who would ever hit a jet dryer?"
Juan Pablo Montoya.
One Pablo Montoya did, but I'm happy to see him back. I one always kind of had I always had a soft spot for him just because he was an international guy. But to see him win the Indy 500 in 2015 was something special. And he's a really talented driver, and hopefully he's able to put more of that on display at 2311 in this one-off deal
Right.
for him. But very happy to see him back. But, buddy, let's move to the big race of the weekend, the one that everybody has been talking about. Uh, this last night's race at Richmond, the first one since you and I both saw the Brickyard 400 in person. back about 3 weeks ago.
We saw how fucking rigged that was.
Yeah, and people are going to be putting NASCAR and RCR in the spin cycle, but let's get to the rest of the race before then. So, Denny Hamlin won the pole, led a lot of stage one, but Christopher Bell overtook him late in the stage, won stage one. I did not see stage one. I had just gotten off work and I was going over to
Stage one
Europeans.
felt it was a pretty clean race overall. Stage one felt fast.
Yes, it was very fast, clean and green, no incidents to speak of. C Bell won. And then we saw something very interesting. I get to Ian's right at the end, right at the break between stage one and stage two. I'm watching the race with you guys. Stage two commences. And then I see that 99 car of Daniel Suarez just looking like Superman out there. Amigo just shot like Speedy Gonzalez all the way to the front. I was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, wait, they're running the option tires. So we had the choice between the primary tires and the option tires, which we've seen at New Hampshire. Those were really, I didn't really feel like we had a good shot at looking at how those were with the rain and stuff. It was more of like a rain tire race, but it was really nice to see. And Daniel Suarez just shot out of a cannon and dominated a lot of stage two, led more laps than he's led in the past 2 years combined, and managed to pull ahead in stage two and play the strategy pretty good with those option tires and going back to the primary tires.
He had Christopher Bell. Those were guys that really came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That last night.
Yeah. I mean, Seabell's to be expected, but you would never really think that out of Daniel Suarez on a short track.
Because he's been a no-show ever since Atlanta. Now look at him.
Exactly. But lately, I will say lately, he's on the up and up. He did finish top 10 at Indy, which was largely overshadowed by that finish. And then he had a hell of an hell of a break. I mean, he got married. He won the NASCAR Brazil.
Mexico.
The Brazil race, actually.
Yep.
And then he signed a one-year extension.
He won the Brazil race, yep, which was awesome. Got the extension. So despite Suarez not winning it yesterday, I say he had a pretty good couple weeks.
Yeah, he had a very good couple weeks, and it continued. It culminated in him winning stage two yesterday, his first stage win since the Coke 600 back in 22. It's been that long for him, if you're keeping track. But we saw a lot of drivers in the stage two to stage three break go to the option tires. And Daniel Suarez, here's the thing with the option tires. You only were allowed 2 sets of them. So Suarez decided to go back to the primary tires for the start of stage three, the only driver in the top 10 to do so. And he fell like a rock from second outside the top 15 on the stage three restart. We saw Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell start to retake control of this race. And Joe Gibbs Racing, their troubles started later in state, and actually in the very opening of stage three, when Martin Truex Jr. blows an engine and DNFs at one of his favorite tracks at Richmond.
He had to fucking do it in stage three. Yes. Because everybody likely had Martin Truex in their fantasy lineup.
I did. I know you did. I know Ian and Nick.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had Martin Truex in their fantasy lineups because this is a Toyota-dominated track. Mm-hmm. You got to put all the Toyotas in there. You can't switch at stage three. Is like you can't switch at stage three. So we were all totally fucked.
Yes, our fantasy lineups for the most part were screwed entirely. And Martin Truex Jr., who we'll talk about later on in this show, finishes dead last, and by no means is he safe in the playoffs.
I was gonna say, I told you not to get comfortable when you brought him up his standings at a couple back in July. I'm like, sure, he's got a nice lead, but
yeah, consistency has been an issue as of late for MTJ, especially in his last season. So he was done.
Slowly been dropping too. At one point, he was up plus 123, thinking, "Oh, okay, maybe." Well, don't get comfortable now, Truex. You went from 123 to plus 78.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
especially after what went down at the end yesterday.
oh yeah, especially that, which coming up very soon for any of you eager
Yep.
to hear our rant. But yeah, so that happened. MTJ finished dead last in 37th. Didn't bring out a caution though. He was able to get to pit road, didn't leave a whole lot of oil on the track. Race stayed green and it continued that way. And then this is where we enter Austin Dillon. So, for those of you who don't know, Austin Dillon, Richmond is one of his better tracks, non-super speedway. He
Well, we
runs
just noticed that last night.
Yeah, he runs pretty decent at Richmond. He finished second to Brad Keselowski back in like 2020, led a good part of the race. And with a lot of drivers on pit strategy, moving over to the option tires, back and forth between that and the primary tires at the end, Dillon had a fast car. And we saw him start to gain up and catch Joey Logano. Joey wasn't going to make it easy on him. He kind of played it difficult, really good defense, but he finally overtook him. And then he set his sights on race leader Denny Hamlin. And with about 30 laps to go in the race, he overtook Denny Hamlin. And I think all of us at the time
And
at
he was starting to run away with it. He didn't just overtake Hamlin. He he was
yeah,
ahead by almost a good 3 seconds.
he was gone. I mean, he said sail. You could tell he had the faster car compared to Denny, especially in lap traffic. Like he was able to maneuver the field much better than Denny was through the traffic. So I think at this time last night when we were watching that race, all three of us, you, me, Ian, and then actually four because Kelly was there too.
I was gonna
We were all
say,
we were all happy. We were all excited. We were like, "Oh my god, this is going to create playoff chaos." Austin Dillon, no one expected this. He's just gonna overtake everybody and he's gonna pick up a convincing win at Richmond, a non-super speedway track of all tracks. And we thought that would
you
happen.
say convincing,
It-
and I believe you say convincing, and then
yes. And then this is where we start to see things get interesting. So, with about 15 laps to go, this was forgotten about. Daniel Suarez comes to pit road again. He timed it perfectly. He stayed in the
Daniel
top
Suarez
10,
was
top
hauling
15.
ass.
He looked like his old self last night. He looked like his days back in Xfinity running the Joe Gibbs in that 19 car. But Daniel Suarez played the strategy perfectly, came to pit road with like 15, 20 laps to go, put on his last set of option tires after manning it the whole way on the primaries. He was the first guy on track on option tires. He was just moving his way through the field. Could he catch up to Austin Dillon in time? It was looking close. He had cut the lead down to 5 seconds and was moving up to like fifth or sixth. And then
Yeah,
right after Dillon took 2 laps to go, when we're thinking, okay, Austin Dillon, all he needs to do is just run another lap and a half more consistently and he'll be set. Then we have two lapped cars, veteran drivers, mind you, who reminded us last night why they only have 3 wins combined between both of them. Ricky Stenhouse, or Kyle Busch likes to call him Recky Spinhouse, and
we
Ryan
call him.
Preece, yeah, Wreckhouse, just wiping each other out going into turn one. That I'm gonna put half on Stenhouse, half on Priest. Priest kind of came down on him, but Ricky could have backed out. There was room behind him to back out, and he kind of locked the brakes up and slid up into one. But they both spun and hit the wall, setting up an overtime finish, which was going to be, you knew it was going to be pure chaos on the restart.
Yes, holy shit! It was, and not only that too. Everyone's thinking Dillon, but you had Joey Logano up there, Denny Hamlin up there.
Yes.
Like, some good.
Yep. So the cars came to pit road. Everyone went to pits. Everyone except Daniel Suarez, because Suarez already used his option tire. He got screwed over as well by that last caution. Um, they all came to pit road. Everyone but Suarez put on the option tires. and Austin Dillon won the race off pit road. And I knew this is when I knew disaster was about to strike. When Jeff Byrne and Rick Allen said on live TV before the restart that Austin Dillon ranks 35th out of 37 cars in the field last night on restarts. 35th. That's when I knew.
And he came out first.
That's when I knew things were about to happen. Well, did he? Because on the restart, it was him and Joey Logano, Dillon on the inside, Logano on the outside. Logano beats him on the restart. He clearly got the jump on him.
And we thought, oh my God, Joey Logano's going to pull this shit off.
Yeah, Joey Logano was looking like shades of Nashville out there, was looking like he was going to win the race and pull off another overtime upset win. And then this is where we get all the bullshit chaos coming in the last corners of the last lap. So if any
Terry Labonte fans might want to pop your popcorn for this.
Yeah, Terry Labonte fans, get the food ready. Get everything ready, because this is the fun part. This is where the fun begins, as Anakin says in Revenge of the Sith. So let's break it all down. Let's break it all down here. So going into turn 3, Joey Logano has maybe a 3-car length lead over Austin Dillon. Going into turn 3, Dillon just throttles into the corner, doesn't even try to make the corner, just throttles, overshoots the corner, and just punts Joey Logano into turn 3. Logano spins, loops it into the outside wall. Dillon drives way in deep into turns 3 and 4 because he basically went in there with the intention to hit Joey Logano. That opened the door for Denny Hamlin running third to try and sneak on by and steal a win. And then coming out of turn 4 to take the checkered flag, Dillon comes all the way down the track, right rear hooks Denny Hamlin into the wall, and Austin Dillon turns into a complete menace on the last lap of the last corner of the last lap, and steals a win away at Richmond.
A win that he does and does not deserve at the same time.
It's exactly what you said from Kyle Larson at Indy back at the last show.
Shit.
Yes, almost the same thing you said. He deserved it, but you can make the argument that he didn't deserve it more because he lost the lead on the restart. He got beat by Joey Logano on that restart. Logano was going to set sail away and win the race. And B, because he blatantly wrecked 2 cars on the last corner of the last lap on purpose. No denying it whatsoever. That's what he did.
And of course, there's fucking Austin Dillon saying, hate it, but I had to do it. I didn't know you suck on the track, but dude, you also suck at covering up the crime scene.
Yeah, he was not hiding it at all whatsoever. And don't worry, we're going to get right into RCR and the rest of Austin Dillon here in just a second. But Austin Dillon wins, and Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, 2 drivers who have a big history with each other. They do not like each other. I have never seen them more united and say more of the same thing.
I was just going to say, they were both on the same page last night. Now, yeah. I don't like Joey Logano, but I do applaud him for the shot he took, and I'm glad he did. And Austin Dillon was very lucky he was holding his kid, because if he wasn't by his kid or his wife, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin would have gone up to him and punch at him. And I don't think you saw this, but Bubba Wallace, he was going to go shake Dillon's hand, but he's like, nope, not for that.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick gave Dillon a love tap after taking the white flag. I mean, he was right there. He saw his boss get right reared by Austin Dillon right into the outside wall. Bubba Wallace saw the same thing happen. They both finished in the top 5. It's like, in what world does Austin Dillon think that it's okay to not intentionally wreck 1, but 2 cars on the last lap for the price of 1? That's get out of here. Get out of here.
How did everyone like Dale is what I want to know.
Literally
shades of him and Labonte from Bristol.
You know what was so egregious I felt last night? More people in the stands at Richmond were booing Joey Logano than they were Austin Dillon. Like, I get it. I understand. I'm not a Joey Logano fan either. I've
But
had my
he was spot on with the
yeah,
statement.
he was spot on. I've
Keep
had
the guy or not, he was spot on with that statement.
he was very much so spot on. He said it right there himself. And I honestly agree. Austin Dillon, I don't want to say, I don't want to, I don't want to be calling people names, but Austin Dillon, he sucks. He sucked his whole career. He is a true Alex Bowman driver who's fluked into a lot of wins in situations by either being in fuel
I wouldn't
mileage,
say last night was a fluke considering the way he raced,
but
but
he did not deserve to win that race.
he
He
did
did not
not.
deserve to win that race, especially with the way he did it at the end there. Right, intentionally wrecking two drivers at the end of the race. And for any of you RCR Austin Dillon fanboys in denial that he wrecked him intentionally, listen to the spotter audio from Austin Dillon and his team.
Yeah,
What
we keep receipts nowadays, everyone.
Yes. And Jeff Gluck on Twitter last night he basically posted what Austin Dillon spotter said, like wreck him, in terms of what happened between him and the 11 car, like saying you got to wreck him. And then after the race, to make matters worse, Richard Childress, who is Austin Dillon's grandfather, by the way, I don't believe he said that maybe 1,000 times already on the show. I don't believe he said that at all. But
But
Austin,
now he just did.
now he just did. Um, you know, it comes on the radio after Austin Dillon won the race and said, Pop is proud of you. Like, dude, you just right rear hooked one driver and just punted another out of the way for the win in the same corner. Don't, I, it's complete favoritism, sheer nepotism from RCR.
I'll tell you this though. If NASCAR doesn't at least park or fine Austin Dillon,
Yeah.
there's your new golden boy right there.
Yeah, that's the new golden boy.
They're going to park Bubba Wallace for right rear hooking Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott for right rear hooking Denny Hamlin because they both got parked.
Yeah.
But not Austin Dillon. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And especially what Richard Childress, I don't know if you saw what Richard Childress said to the media in the press conference last night and this morning, but he was basically asked, okay, so what about Austin, the spotter chatter on the radio with Austin Dillon spotter saying that, you had to wreck the 11 to win the race. And Richard Childress said, I did not know any of that. Bullshit. You were there in the pit box with a headset on. You knew everything that was happening right there. And then the reporter, thank God he kept Richard Childress' feet to the fire, questioned him about that and said, well, I can show you what he said. And he played it for him. And Richard Childress said, I applaud what the spotter said because ultimately it won us the race. Get out of here, RC. You did not deserve at all to win that race. You, in no way, shape, or form.
We keep receipts nowadays, Richard Childress. So
yeah.
have fun trying to cover up that crime scene.
And to anyone out there wondering why I have such a beef with Richard Childress and any of the Richard Childress lovers out there, such as Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Austin Hill, you look back to what happened to Sheldon Creed at Martinsville last fall. This is a product of what goes on at RCR. And Richard Childress, if I may, really quickly, if you somehow are out there watching this podcast, let me say this to you, my friend. You in no way, shape, or form would have the reputation as an owner if you didn't piggyback off the success of Dale Earnhardt for 15, 20 years, and then follow that up with Kevin Harvick for another decade.
He'd be working at a fucking McDonald's.
You would be employed only at a McDonald's, my friend, if it was not for any of the success that you had with Dale Earnhardt and Kevin Harvick. It wasn't for that, you'd be working at a fast food joint right now, not running cars at a racetrack and not making the money and not giving your grandchildren said money to intentionally wreck drivers on the last lap. Let me throw that out there and be very blunt and clear with you. Richard Childress, you want to have your organization be taken seriously and reputable again? I have an idea for you. Park your grandson out of the car for good and put him into an executive role at RCR for God's sake. Like,
and then next thing you know, Austin Hill will be taking over the 3 car.
Yeah, and we get another dick running the 3 car again. Oh God, I literally, I was very upset at Richard Childress and his comments. I understand the only thing I understand what they said was, well, what else were we supposed to do in that situation? We had a shot to make the playoffs right there. Like, here's the
They're
thing.
The one who fucked up on the restart.
Yes.
You're the one who let Joey Logano get in front of you, and then you had to start being a little bitch and just dump him. Like, no.
Yeah, you lost the race on the restart.
And I just love how people are saying that Joey Logano deserved that because he's done that shit before. Looking at Darlington in 2022, let's not forget, Byron got him first, and then Joey Logano brought the payback. So Logano's stunt at Darlington in 22 was payback.
Yeah, that was payback.
Logano did nothing to Dillon last night.
Yes, and again, I had my issues with Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin numerous times throughout my days of watching NASCAR, but I've honestly gained a lot of sympathy for both of them after last night's events. And
Hamlin's been growing on me lately.
Yes.
Joey,
but I did like what Joey said last night. Joey Logano basically said in his very heated.
You have to applaud Joey for what he said last night.
The thing I agreed with him the most on, Pat, the thing I agreed with him the most on was when he said, I would understand if it was a bump and run. I would understand that, but he flat out wrecked me.
That was not a bump and run.
No, that was by far the farthest thing from a bump and run. That was a cheap shot, punting a guy going into turn 3, and then you lose the race again because Denny Hamlin shoots right underneath you while you washed up into turns 3 and 4, and you're like, oh, I gotta take care of this, and just right rear hook. And here's the thing. You said it before, we've seen drivers right rear hook other drivers into the wall and get suspended for it. We saw it with Chase, we saw it with Bubba, and I'm sorry, but NASCAR, if you do not strip this one away from Austin Dillon, you at least have to suspend him next week for Richmond, because you look at the SMT data. Look at the SMT data. He clearly came down the track and right rear hooked Denny into the wall to win the race. I get it. It wasn't payback, but it was still intentional. It was still very much so intentionally done.
Intentionally bullshit.
Yes, very much so. And last night, I'm sorry, but a big line was crossed with what Austin Dillon did.
Huge line. It's clear evidence that was on purpose.
No, yes, both incidents. The Joey Logano one, okay, that one is not as egregious as him right rear hooking Denny into the wall. He blatantly right rear hooked Denny into the wall.
He tried to murder a man.
I mean, he wasn't trying to murder him. He was trying to win the race, but the way he went about it was very much so like Chick Hicks from Cars back in the 2006 movie. Just right rear hooking a guy on the last corner, the last lap, and almost killing him. I mean, Denny even said it. I think I blew off my shoulder because of that hit into the wall. And he's not wrong. That was a really hard hit, flush into the outside wall. And my thing for what needs to happen from NASCAR, I think they need to make an example of Austin Dillon, because what we saw last night clearly crossed a line. I think, honestly, I know there's going to be people out there who hate me for saying this, but you got to get that win. You got to suspend the win. Have him keep the win. Have Austin Dillon keep the win.
Austin Dillon.
Have Austin Dillon keep him the win, but you basically say that win prohibits you from making the playoffs. We've seen that in the past. Joey Logano won at Richmond, but his win still counted, but he lost a shot at going to the playoffs because there was a technicality in post-race inspection following that. Still credit Austin Dillon with the win, but make sure that it doesn't count him for the playoffs. We've seen that happen in the past. And for right rear hooking Denny into the wall, suspend him for a race, fine him, dock him points, fine RCR for the comments that they made on the radio on the last lap and after the race, because they hold as much of responsibility as Austin Dillon does. I'm sorry. That's as egregious and blatant and wrong as it gets. That's the easily the most dirtiest driving I have ever seen in my days watching NASCAR. Easily.
We've literally thought we've seen dirty driving and stuff. We've had our fair share of seeing dirty driving. Obviously, you mentioned, from Chase Elliott and, Bubba Wallace putting the right rear hook and bullshit. Joey Logano doing things, Ross Chastain, Corey Heim, Austin Hill getting aggressive on the track and stuff. No, Austin Dillon said, hold my beer.
Yeah, Austin Dillon in one corner on one lap last night said,
hold my beer. A 2-for-1 special.
Yes, a 2-for-1 special. Yes, and I think for the price of one, he should be suspended. He should have his playoff spot confiscated from him.
If he does get suspended, that means I will not be able to see him get his karma at Michigan.
Hey, who cares, honestly? Austin Dillon,
if he doesn't get suspended, though, I'm gonna boo the fuck out of him.
Yeah, I honestly, I really don't know how any sensible NASCAR fan, any Austin Dillon fan can defend what he did last night.
Well, I hope we could, get something soon, because we should be hearing something soon, tomorrow, if Austin Dillon's going to be suspended, because if that son of a bitch is not suspended,
NASCAR,
I'm going to be one of those Chase fans.
Yeah, I'm
gonna be one of those evil Chase fans.
God,
if Austin Dillon not suspended, no, I'm really gonna be.
God, I wish I were going.
I'm a cool Chase fan, but no, I'm gonna snap.
I wish I were going with you guys to Michigan now, just to see the reaction Austin Dillon would get next weekend when he steps out on track. I'm
gonna rant on Twitter. I'm gonna rant if Dillon's not suspended. I'm gonna be that evil Chase fan.
Well, to follow up what you said, NASCAR Vice President of Competition, Elton Sawyer, I believe that's what his position is. Elton Sawyer did come out and say, yeah, we have our feelings on him, but he did say that NASCAR would review the finish of the race. They would gather up all the evidence and information that they had, and by tomorrow they would come to a decision. And I feel like this forces NASCAR into a position where they have to do something here. They have to make an example of Austin Dillon, because what we saw last night, that's crossing the line.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Complete bullshit.
Yes, very much.
That was not bar racing. That was murder.
Yeah. And what's scary is this is seen for any young teenage racer out there.
Oh, Tyler Reddick. You see his quote earlier today? His kid watched that, and now that could give his kid an idea. And we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. And I think this stems more beyond RCR. This ultimately, I feel, is on NASCAR, because this is what they wanted with this playoff format here. You have drivers such as Austin Dillon, who has only a few good runs out of the whole year, is in contention to win. He started yesterday back 32nd in points and had a shot to win. And he does this crap on the last lap. It's like, this is what happens when we have drivers doing crap like this on the last lap that enables them to pull off moves like they did last night. And the only thing I can understand RCR and Austin Dillon saying in defense of themselves was, what else were we going to do? Because NASCAR, unfortunately, the way it is, they force themselves into a box where they have to do stuff like that. But what we saw yesterday was something that we have not seen in the 10 years of this playoff format being introduced. We haven't seen it in 10 years.
It shakes up the playoff format. Austin Dillon's bullshit win yesterday.
Yeah. So Austin Dillon for now wins, but we got to keep an update going if we see any type of news come out. Again, I swear, if if tomorrow comes and NASCAR announces that Austin Dillon is not suspended nor will not face any serious penalties, we're doing an emergency episode and we're breaking all this down. Like, I swear to God, because this NASCAR, they cannot mess this up.
Viewer description. I don't even know how to say that, but viewer description is advised.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I must warn you, keep all your children away from this episode.
Well, I don't know how children can watch that race last night and be happy with it. I really don't. But
get ready. Just get ready for a storm.
Yeah, get ready for a big storm, especially with you guys going to Michigan next weekend. But I think we said about a lot of what we could say about Austin Dillon and RCR already, and we said what we said. We're gonna let NASCAR make their decision, and yeah,
you better make the right fucking decision.
You better make the right decision. Steve O'Donnell, Elton Sawyer, if you're out there listening.
If they don't,
you would have lost a lot of credibility if you don't make the right decision.
You lose some respect.
You lose a lot of respect by doing that. That's all.
And I'm going to lose my cool.
Yeah, a lot of people are, and a lot of people aren't going to be happy in Michigan next weekend if that happens. And I honestly, at this rate, Austin Dillon's opened that door where Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, they are obliged to pay him back in any way, shape, or form. And I can't wait to see what happens with it. So,
but with that bullshit win yesterday, it shakes up the playoff standings and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you take a look at the playoff standings. Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain are out of the picture as of now.
Yeah, they're tied 3 points below the cutoff line.
And you got Bubba Wallace plus 3N.
Yep. Bubba had a good run yesterday. Finished top 5, was top 10, top 5 all night long. Ty Gibbs struggled. He had some issues last night on some
plus 18 right now. And plus again, 18. If I'm Martin Truex, I wouldn't be too comfortable if I'm Truex.
Truex has really been slip sliding the past few weeks. I mean, had a rough second half of the race at Indy after he battled his way to the top 10. And then last night had a top 10, top 5 car and had the engine issues last night. So these playoffs are looking pretty interesting between 4, maybe 5 drivers. And honestly, I'm going to be honest. I really don't know what to say about Austin Dillon being locked in, because if NASCAR does come out with a very harsh penalty, we could be seeing a playoff spot opened up if they decide to go all in on Austin Dillon and revoke his playoff spot. Like I'm saying, they still give him the win, but they say, okay, you're credited with the win, but your win does not extend you towards the playoffs. Like, that's what I meant by that earlier.
So who would take that spot then? Chris Buescher or Ross Chastain?
Well, as of right now, because
they're both -3 out. So,
but because he has more of the playoff points, Buescher has the advantage. He has 2 compared to Chastain's 1. So yeah, that's what it is right there. So yeah, that was I don't know what you do, honestly, if you're NASCAR. If I were the one in charge of officiating, I would have gone all in and leveled the harshest penalties against Austin Dillon for doing that. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, no. But yes, this does shake up the standings, but it's good to see, Bubba in, and well, will Bubba still be in the playoff standings if they do make this decision?
I think he will be, because if they make the decision to remove Austin Dillon's playoff eligibility, that puts Bubba in, but that also puts Chris Buescher back in, just barely over Ross Chastain.
Yeah, and there's a couple of good tracks. There's a few good tracks coming. There's a few good tracks for drivers like Bubba and Chris Buescher coming up.
Yeah, and Ross Chastain he ran good last night. He wasn't lights out, but he did enough. I mean, he finished 4th, so still a good run for that team. I mean, Trackhouse really showed up for the first time in what feels like a while last night, which was
Really
kind
the
of nice
first
to
time
see.
since Atlanta.
Yeah, really. But I
Well, really the
mean,
first time in the first 2 weeks because Trackhouse raced good the first 2 weeks, and then they've been
yeah,
a no-show.
yeah. But I'm looking really closely right now at that 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and that 54 of Ty Gibbs. Gibbs has been very, very hit or miss lately, and same with Martin Truex Jr. I mean, they've both been slipping, and they keep this up. They're gonna find themselves there's gonna be two Joe Gibbs cars outside of the playoffs for the first time in what feels like
There's
a
good.
long time.
There will be two Joe Gibbs cars, literally just
Yeah,
sitting together on the couch at home,
exactly.
even though
Exactly.
they'll still be driving.
Yeah, they'll still be driving, but they won't be competing for anything. But
Nope.
yeah, that Austin Dillon, as of now, he shook everything up, but will it last? We'll find out tomorrow. But as we get towards the end of the show, let's go ahead with our Michigan preview. You're going to the race next weekend out in Michigan. I sadly will not be there. Xfinity returns after an almost month hiatus, and they'll be racing Saturday. Cup Racing will be racing on Sunday. Let's make our picks for Michigan. Buddy, I'll let you go first for Xfinity.
Well, starting with Xfinity, well, we're going to see another Toyota in victory lane. That's Chandler Smith.
Ooh, all right.
3 straight years we'll see a Toyota win.
A Toyota.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
A Toyota. Yeah, Michigan is another Toyota dominated track at
But for the Cup, that manufacturer is Ford. Ford
yes.
has won the last 6 races at Michigan. And I keep because you had Chris Buescher win last year, Kevin Harvick win in 22, Blaney win in 21. Then he had Harvick with the weekend sweep, and then he wins in 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my pick for the Cup race, we are going with the homeboy Brad
Ooh,
Keselowski.
I like that pick. I do really like
We
that
are going
pick.
to see a 7th straight victory for Ford at
I
Michigan International Speedway.
I do like that pick. That is a very good pick, Brad. Bad Brad, the hometown kid. I don't think he's ever won in Michigan. He's somewhat struggled at
Nope,
his home
nope.
track. What a way to do it here at MIS. But all right, so I see your picks, and honestly, I'm gonna go a different Toyota driver, a man who I know you absolutely love. I'm going Sheldon Creed, winning at Michigan. He's gonna come back
Of
from the
course he
month-long
did.
break, and he's gonna pick up his first career win just in time for the playoffs to start, make himself more of a threat. I'm picking Mr. Creed to win. Sheldon, please do good for me. And then in the Cup side of things, I see your Ford pick, and I'm going to go a Ford, but not the one you'd expect. I'm going Mr. Chris Buescher, picking up his second win at Michigan in a row. One last year.
Buescher is. I was thinking about Buescher too, but I feel like this is Brad's turn. But yeah, I like the Buescher pick.
I mean, Buescher ran pretty good at a similar track to Michigan back in Kansas, almost won it there.
Oh
And
yeah, like Kansas and Michigan are like
yeah,
it's
they're
like a longer version of Chicagoland, and Michigan's like a longer version of Chicagoland and
yes,
Kansas.
yes. And Buescher won last year here on fuel strategy, held off Martin Truex Jr. in very nail biting fashion to do so. And I think he gets himself going for the playoffs. I think he picks up from the
A
mistakes.
Ford. I feel like it will be another Ford.
Yes, it will be another Ford, but I'm going Buescher. But do not count out an SHR car. Do not count out Josh Berry. Do not count out Chase Briscoe. I mean,
Oh, if a Stewart Haas racing car wins,
yeah.
the playoffs are going to get really shaken up.
Yeah, they'll get more chaotic, but also don't count out a Penske car. Joey Logano is also pretty good in Michigan. What happened last night lit
Ryan
a fire.
Blaney 1 year 21.
Yeah, what happened last night lit a fire under Joey Logano's ass. Do not be surprised if he's a contender.
Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin definitely had fires lit under their asses.
Yeah.
You saw Bubba, he had a fire lit under his ass. Tyler Reddick had a fire lit under his ass.
Oh yeah.
A lot of drivers definitely had fires lit under their asses after that. They're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Even the ones who get too aggressive know better.
Yeah. I agree. So I honestly I think Austin Dillon just single-handedly united a bunch of fractured NASCAR relationships. He single-handedly repaired Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano's fractured relationship, and he's got all the 2311 and
He definitely did that with his Coca-Cola Racing relationship.
oh yeah, no doubt. Friendships is what brings everyone together, and Austin Dillon did that in perfect style on the last lap in the last corner
Yeah,
there.
those boys ain't having a Coke with Austin Dillon anymore.
No, they ain't. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Dillon is kicked off the Coca-Cola Racing family for good. Only only to be brought back on because of sheer nepotism.
Well,
But
obviously, good thing they put Chase on there.
and yeah, good thing. Good thing. But all right, we've made our picks for Michigan. We're gonna wrap up the show. Before we do that, though, let's get to our winners and losers of the week. I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, sorry to pick your winner of the week, Matt, but I got to go with Daniel Suarez.
Oh,
Finally, a good run for a Trackhouse Racing.
yeah. Yep. And then lose.
You know, and he was hauling ass too a couple
Yeah.
times. I thought he could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I feel like if it stayed green, he definitely would have had a top 5 finish
He
if it
he,
stayed green the rest of the way.
he
But a
def
great run for Daniel Suarez. Hopefully, that momentum stays with him going down the road.
yeah, definitely so. I was really happy with Daniel Suarez, but all right, you got your winner. Who you got your loser? I think I know who it is.
Yeah, I think everybody watching this should know who my loser of the week is. And fun fact, he was actually originally my winner of the week, and then he went from winner to loser, just like that. And it's that piece of shit in the 3 car, Austin Dillon.
Yep. We
Just
don't need.
yeah, just don't enjoy Logano right rear hooking Denny Hamlin for the win after having a great race yesterday. You know, he had that restart. Joey Logano beat him out, and then Austin Dillon just lost his cool and tried to kill a man.
And
Two
we
for the price of one.
Yeah, exactly. And we wanted to see Dylan win yesterday before he did that.
We
And once
did.
he did
We
that, we were
did.
like,
We
oh,
we were happy. We were before all that nonsense happened. Before all that nonsense happened, we were happy of how
yeah,
Austin Dillon was racing. Except
yep.
Kelly, because she was rooting for Danny. We were like, Dillon. Kelly's like, shut up.
And
But
uh yeah.
and then of course the incident at the end happened. We're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, god damn it, Dylan. All right, my winner of the week is a different Daniel. It's going to be Michael Waltrip's BFF, Daniel Dye, racing his way into the Truck Series
Yep.
playoffs. He raced his butt off on Saturday night. I'm really happy for him. He finally gets the credibility he deserves. And my loser of the week, I'm going to one up you, and I'm going to pick RCR as a whole as my losers of the week. Not only for what happened at the end of the race, but after the race with RCR and Austin Dillon basically coming up with a bunch of bullshit excuses for what happened at the end there. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Have fun trying to hide the crime scene.
Yeah, there it's gonna be another
If anything, the crime scene just got worse on social media after the race.
exactly. It's gonna
Like
be
we
another
can clearly see what went down.
it's another PR nightmare for Richard Childress Racing. They've had a lot of them over the years, but yeah, this is a big one for them. So
Oh yes.
yes. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Hope you enjoyed our little rant. Thanks again for watching. Pat's going to Michigan this weekend. I will be staying home and watching the race. I cannot go, but I will be with him in spirit. So,
We'll
buddy,
get you out to some races next year.
yeah, I'm looking forward to going to more races next year and watching the end of the season. Buddy, I hope you have a fun time out in Michigan. Send me some more videos for the show, and we'll
Oh
be
yeah.
back next week to recap Michigan. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. I'm Matt Lauterbach,
And I'm Patrick Codo.
and we'll see you next time.